Hello and greetings. And I haven't made many appearances on video this year, and I've been kind of quiet here I am in my basement retreat. But I've come here today to speak about a little blue flower. Yep, you heard me right. Now, most of the time, I've been talking about things like human consciousness, the question of perception, the nature of reality, uh, the nature of the external events in the world, or sometimes metaphysical matters, all these quite heavy subjects, which have been a part of my work and my life over the past quite a few years, in fact. But today, um, I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit and to talk about a little blue flower called bluebell, because sometimes in all these serious subjects and all these rightfully so serious subjects, comes along a little breath of fresh air, a little piece of magic and enchantment. And within all these more profound writings, I produced a little book called Bluebell's World. And this is a book which, although is aimed for younger readers, actually it is more or less universal for readers of all ages. We all can get something from this at different levels. And I wanted to introduce to the world a little story about what happens when we dream, when we have dreams and we try to fulfill those dreams, and the power of fulfilling those dreams, and how we can start our own adventures from that and where it takes us and what we can learn from those adventures. And the people, or in this case, the animals mostly, that we meet on the way can all give us lessons for our journey. And we are all the better for it as we relate to the world around us. And sometimes we have to step out of our little groove. So I'm going to read the first chapter from this. I wanted to produce a good book to look and feel at, not just a mass printed book. So I produced it in hardback with lovely illustrations from an illustrator friend from Spain, Natalie Retiroff, with good high quality paper. And we have these lovely color illustrations throughout. And we have Felicity the Fox. And we have a lot of lovely illustrations. Nice large print to read. So it actually feels like a good solid book. So I'm going to read the first chapter. They're all very short. And it begins like this. Bluebell, bluebell, a flower so blue, felt delight in each morning as the sun rose anew. Little blue flower at the beginning of each chapter. Bluebell loved to open herself up to a new world each day. Time and duration for Bluebell was not linear, but floated in cycles, with day and sun, night and moon. The rain, sunshine, and the wind all visited her at one time or another. Or sometimes they came at the same moment, like when the rain and wind decided to play together. Bluebell always tried to lift her head up. She wished to see what she could feel and to gaze out upon the world. Everything to her felt as if it all belonged to the same soil, for soil was all she knew. She was sure the same soil nurtured all things in the world. A tingle of curiosity, awe, and excitement flitted in her soft petals. She also thought she had a dream. She wasn't sure if bluebells were meant to have dreams. Can bluebells dream? Her family of bluebell flowers quivered in the slight breeze. Shh, they said together. No, seriously, do we dream? Shh. But Bluebell knew what she had dreamed. She remembered that her tiny blue feet had walked upon the soil. I want to see more of this world, cried out Bluebell. The other little bluebell flowers on her family stalk swayed and nodded, but they didn't respond. In fact, they rarely answered her. You see, this little bluebell was often crying out, trying to raise her tiny blue head upwards. All the other little bluebell flowers continued to look at the floor. Theirs was a world that was known and accepted. The other bluebells saw the same patch of ground each day, day in and day out. And they had grown weary of their little sister Bluebell and her cries of fancy. At first they were amused and had humoured her, and then they had grown weary of her aspirations. You are a bluebell, like the rest of us, they had said. This is what we do. You should be happy with that. Know that you are a bluebell and that our heads look to the floor. But I want to look up to see the sun, cried back Bluebell. But you can see the sun. You see its rays on the ground. You feel its heat, they all replied in unison. But I want to see where they all come from. Bluebell was determined to raise her head just a little more. Bluebell loved being a little blue flower. She loved listening to the sounds of the forest, the buzzing wings of insects or the chatter of the creepy crawlies that scuttled upon their tiny little legs. And she especially loved listening to the bird songs as their delicate voices floated through the trees like an armada of wind chimes. But recently, a niggling feeling had arisen in her. The feeling that being a little blue flower was not all there was to be. There had to be more to her life than looking at the ground and watching forest life. Why did none of the other flowers in her bluebell family feel the same way? Could they not see this? Despite feeling excited upon greeting the rising light on each new day, Bluebell began to grow a little sad inside. Her tiny bluebell heart began to feel the first stirrings of unfulfillment. There you go. I think we can all understand and relate to that when we have those first stirrings of unfulfillment that often is the beginning of our life's path. So a book for younger readers that would, I think, enchant them and maybe give them a few lessons and a lovely gift. So sometimes the question of perception, trying to understand ourselves and the world around us, doesn't have to be lofty questions or lofty answers or high, profound questions. They can be little bluebell questions. And I also have the book in Spanish, El Mundo de Bluebell. So I produced this book as a hardback, and I produced it from my own publishing in print, Beautiful Trader Books, and I put it out through an international distributor, so it could be found on all online platforms as a hardback and EPUB. And then I'm telling you this story because this is the ins and outs of publishing. Then I went online and found that major some major sellers online, we all know who is the biggest seller, had increased the prices of some of the books in some regions. They had hugely increased this book in Spain and increased this book in Europe, etc. I've set the price on it as a hardback at $15.99, which I think actually is just basically covers the production costs. And I didn't like the fact that some regions were upping the prices. So the only way I could do that was I produced a paperback version so I could keep the costs down. And that came in at £8.99 or $12.99 or €12.99. So there is a hardback version, which I think is the beautiful version. And there's also a very the same book, same style, color printing, everything as a paperback at £8.99 or £12.99, whereas this is $25 or £15. However, um, so I wanted to say that because I always try and keep my costs down for people's pocket. It's not about making money, it's about transmitting things. And although this is perhaps the first video I've made where I've actually done like a sell because I'm very bad at promotion and selling, I'm not comfortable with the exchange of finances, but it has to be done. But also, it's available in English and in England and America direct from the printer distributor Ingrams, and I've reduced the cost for that. So you could, if I'll put the links in the video below, if you're in America, you can get it direct from the Ingrams for $20 plus postage, and in England, £15. So that's my push of the book for now. I think I'll probably then just sit back and let Bluebell have her adventure in the world. So, greetings to all of you, and I'll leave you with a little message. Above me is a sign that I always take with me when I move house, and I've moved house quite a few times, and I've just moved house again this year. And this sign is in Czech, the Czech language, so you probably won't be able to read it unless you know Czech. And it was given to me by a dear Czech friend. Uh, some of you may know I did spend some time living and working in Prague, Czech Republic. And it says, the motto of this house is, the most important things in life are not things. And saying that, I bid you farewell and stay well, stay healthy, and above all, stay grounded, like Bluebell with her feet on the ground. Bye now.